Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named I May Stand For You in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITA for rejecting my friend's request to have an open relationship with my husband. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 1.5 years. This is the best relationship I've ever been in. He's a great person and we have no issues except for his brother's fiance. When I first met her, I really wanted us to be great friends, but that hasn't been the case. Literally, the first time I met her, she was wearing a romper, came out of the bathroom, and specifically went to my boyfriend to zip her up. I thought it was odd, but we just met, so I didn't dwell on it. Before I met her, he described her as his relationship advisor and mentioned that he told her about me and how excited he was about our relationship. However, each time I've seen her, she's made me uncomfortable. She'll pull him away to talk one-on-one, touches him regularly, has little inside jokes that leave me sitting there like an idiot, makes silly voices to him, and tells weird double entendre jokes. Sometimes she'll be super nice to me, and sometimes she just straight up ignores me. I never know which version I'll get, so I always act super friendly, but it's exhausting. One of the last times I saw her, she was being friendly, but took the opportunity to say, you know, before you and him started dating, we talked every day about all kinds of things. We were best friends. Now we don't talk as much anymore. In the beginning, he seemed oblivious to how inappropriate she acts toward him. I've pointed it out several times and have gotten to the point where I told him that if he doesn't shut down her weird touching, I'm either walking away or leaving because I'm uncomfortable. Issues with her have literally been our only relationship drama the entire time. We have never fought about anything else. Since making him aware of the situation, many times when she starts touching him randomly or trying to pull him away, he'll resist or go somewhere else, whatever the case may be. However, we seem to have an argument after each time we see her. Yesterday, she and his brother received an invite from a mutual friend to see some live music. She was mostly fine, friendly, etc., but she chose the seat beside him, which meant I had to sit a couple of friends away from him. She was wiping his face and touching him where he missed a spot shaving. Just weird stuff like that. At one point, I walked away and chatted with some mutual friends. After we left, I expressed to my boyfriend that I feel I can't talk to him about my concerns with her because he gets so frustrated and says she's always been that way. They've known each other for 5 years and she'll be his sister soon, whatever that means. He's doing his best to keep her in check, but she does seem to come out of nowhere with her touching and her snide comments to me that maybe only another woman could understand the rudeness behind. It turned into a loud fight, the likes of which we've never had before. He's super apologetic today. Though I don't like her, knowing that we'll both be part of the family soon, I realize we need to sort out these issues. How do we go about doing this? I've thought about going out for drinks with her and explaining my situation so she can't play dumb about how she makes me uncomfortable. He thinks he should talk to her alone, but that feels like I can't handle my own issues and would create more weirdness between the two of us. I absolutely love him and want to marry him, and I really want this to resolve so our relationship can continue to flourish. ETA, my last relationship before this one was awful. I was cheated on and verbally and physically abused. I'm incredibly grateful to have the good man I have now. It took a lot of work for me to get to where I am emotionally, to be able to trust and control my anger during arguments because of how terrible my last relationship was and how it changed my personality. I don't want to see bits of the old me anymore, but I notice little glimpses when we argue about her, and I hate that. I don't think any of what the sister-in-law is doing is okay. Unless I miss something, it seems more like OP's boyfriend is avoiding the issue rather than confronting it and putting an end to it. I'm not sure if the in-law is romantically interested in OP's boyfriend or if she has a different motive altogether, but she definitely needs to be cut out if OP's relationship is to be healthy. This is especially important if OP has had past experiences where she felt unsafe in a relationship. User Grumpy G said, I am a sister and a sister-in-law. This is not okay. He doesn't shut her down. He just avoids her. Don't talk to her. Embarrass her in front of her partner. Don't you have a friend who could help with that? As a friend, I would ask, hey OP, is that over there your fiance? Then I would act surprised when you say it's him. Oh really? With all the touching, I thought it was her. What do the family members say about it? Have you ever talked to Bill? Edit, don't marry until this is resolved. To this OP said, thank you for your response. Sometimes I get so annoyed with myself wondering why I'm making this an issue, but none of his close friends' wives or girlfriends act this way toward him, and I can't imagine he'd feel great if I were acting this way toward another guy. I haven't talked to the brother-in-law about this. He can be nice, but he is very focused on work and himself. Honestly, I get the vibe from her that she feels she picked the wrong brother and regrets it. I'm not trying to shame her or cause more of a scene than I already seem to do when I walk away in a huff. But yeah, I agree that he needs to shut her down more than he has been doing, or this will continue. User Holiday Doc said, "Your sister-in-law is a turd and she is doing this on purpose. Your boyfriend is allowing it and massively disrespecting you in the process. If my boyfriend allowed someone else to sit with him at an event while I had to go sit elsewhere, I would leave the entire event. You should be leaving events entirely when he allows inappropriate behavior. You both need to sit down with your brother and sister-in-law and have a conversation together. That way, everyone knows what was said and nothing gets twisted. It needs to come directly from your boyfriend though, so that the sister-in-law doesn't think he is okay with her behavior. He needs to start the conversation by apologizing for letting this go on as long as it has, for not shutting it down, and for contributing to her behavior. The truth is that he is a major contributor, and he is behaving inappropriately just like she is. He then needs to state in no uncertain terms that the touching and possessive behavior must stop. The sister-in-law is more likely to back off if she knows she isn't getting away with it and that people are aware of what she is doing. I will say though that this is largely on your boyfriend. If he had shut this down long ago, this wouldn't be happening now. His lack of respect for you and his inability to set boundaries is really problematic. Nobody wants to know that their partner will go along with inappropriate behavior when put in that position. Update. Now for the updated craziness. On Friday evening, I went to a female family gathering and my future sister-in-law was there. She avoided me the entire time. I want nothing more than to get past this and move on, but I was sort of following her lead and left her alone. She texted me asking if we could talk, and I said sure. During our conversation, she claimed that my boyfriend told his brother I wrote a text. She clearly didn't believe me and kept trying to find ways to prove that I wrote it. Specifically, that I said no more family gatherings and that we don't want to go to their wedding because I hate her. She also claimed that I would hate any future child they have because it came from her. I was absolutely shocked because I never said any of this, and I know my boyfriend never said any of these things either. So his brother is making up these cruel lies for some unknown reason. She said how awful their family is and that all she wanted was to make me feel included, but now I've stabbed her in the back. She demanded an apology. I refused, told her to have a good night, and left. On Sunday, we went to their parents' house for dinner. Everyone was there, and things were fairly standoffish. At one point, I was inside with Future Sil and their dad making light small talk when their mom grabbed me and Future Sil to speak in a back room. She was a few drinks in and got all teary-eyed about how her boys are in turmoil. Basically, she said I'm the root of all the issues and need to get over it because she's not having her family torn apart. My boyfriend loves both of us equally, and I need to deal with that because they've known each other for 5 years, far longer than we've been together. She said I can't come in and try to dissolve all female relationships in his life. After she left, Future Sil and I talked calmly, and I expressed that there clearly was miscommunication between the boys that seems to be ramping this up. She agreed. Then we heard screaming from the living room and glass breaking, so we went out there. That's when all the real drama started. The brother kept pointing at me with a genuinely murderous look in his eyes, calling me a manipulative bitch and a psychotic bully, just all kinds of things. It turned into a screaming match with everyone telling each other to off, while their mom said, "Well, you started all of this, now you have nothing to say, defend yourself." His brother yelled, "She's playing a game, she manipulated my brother away from the family. She's sitting there all pleased with herself, the fucking dumb bitch." Their mom was trying and failing to moderate the situation because the brother kept screaming. He told her to go f herself while saying every awful thing he could think of about me. He came incredibly close to my face, but my boyfriend pushed him away and yelled at him. The brother kept making moves like he was going to run at me. Future Sil kept holding him back or telling him to take a walk because he was furious. Their mom kept saying I need to grow up and deal with my insecurities, repeating it over and over again. At one point, I asked her to stop calling me insecure, and she replied that it was the first time I defended myself. Now she respects me a little bit because I stood up for myself. This went on for 2 hours, and because I don't deal with issues by screaming and name-calling, I was frozen. My boyfriend was saying a lot to try to defend me, stating that their concerns didn't come out of thin air, which only riled everyone up more. It was absolute chaotic madness that I've never been a part of before. At the end, their mom tried to laugh off the entire situation. I was in total shock because I've tried so hard to be kind and respectful to the family and always had a great relationship, especially with their mom, so I was taken aback. My boyfriend spoke to his mom the next day and canceled all future plans with the family, saying I was attacked, that it was uncalled for, and that he was furious. His brother has legitimate issues, and their mom makes excuse after excuse for his absolutely terrifying behavior. I seriously don't feel comfortable even being near his brother again. He seems so close to really losing it, and I'm actually concerned for my safety at this point. I thank God my boyfriend has the complete opposite personality, but I have no clue how to move forward from this. As much as I'd never want to see the brother again, I know that's not possible. I'd be willing to speak to him if he could act more normal and calm, but I don't even know if he's capable of that. Help! Final update. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. The first year or so was fantastic, except for his brother's fiancée being inappropriate with him. It got to the point where she wasn't taking his subtle hints to move away from her, to take her arms off him, or to not sit on his lap, and my boyfriend felt the need to say something. He texted the fiancée, which caused massive issues with his brother. The brother called him awful names, insulted me, insulted him, etc. It was bad. About 4 months ago, we had a tense family gathering where everything came to light. It resulted in 2 hours of yelling about how all of this is my fault, that the fiancé was acting appropriately, and that I'm manipulative and trying to tear the family apart. It was awful. The brother was screaming at me and had to be held back a few times, as if he were trying to scare me into thinking he'd attack me. The brother has always been like this, so this is just how he acts. When he's mad at their mom, he shoves her and calls her awful names, and she laughs it off. I'm close with the rest of the family. They say he's been like this since childhood, always a loose cannon, always nasty to family, and not someone they want to be around. Due to the drama, we have only participated in limited family functions, mainly without the brother and fiancé. My boyfriend's mom has since given me a half apology for the blowout, but is putting it all on my boyfriend to solve the family strife. Needless to say, when a group of people is verbally and on the verge of physically attacking you, it's hard to get back to normal. However, I have tried my best with his mom since she apologized. His brother is a whole other story. The mom believes that he is perfect, just defending the woman he loves, etc. She feels my boyfriend and I need to fix this because we're tearing her family apart. I have zero interest in seeing the brother or future fiancé again, but I know that if I stay in this relationship, that won't be possible. My boyfriend has been torn up over this because his parents keep putting it on him to fix everything. He suggested meeting up with his brother a few times to talk it out respectfully, but has been met with harsh words or just ignored. Again, my boyfriend's mom blames him and us for this not getting resolved. My boyfriend was so happy-go-lucky when I met him, and now he's incredibly depressed. It's easy for me to see that the brother is the main issue, enabled by his mother, who is guilting my boyfriend endlessly, because she knows he's the caring one, whereas the brother would write us both off and never speak to us again. We've talked constantly about this to the point where I'm just repeating my same points. My boyfriend hears me, but at the end of the day wants everything resolved. I'm frustrated because before this major speed bump, this was the best relationship I'd ever been in. Because of these family issues, it doesn't seem healthy for either of us, which is heartbreaking. My boyfriend has acknowledged that I was right to express my concerns and that any normal person would do so, but he is terribly depressed over all of this, to the point where he doesn't want to get out of bed. What do I do? User DTrustavere said, you need to get away from this family. If your boyfriend isn't willing to come with you, wish him a nice life and go reclaim yours. To this OP said, I'm worried that's what it's going to come to, but I already know what the answer will be. The fact that I asked him what his brother would have to say or do to make him put his foot down, and he started catastrophizing and just abandoned my entire family, never see them again, tells me everything I need to know. Mind you, we hang out weekly with aunts, uncles, and cousins who are fantastic, but cutting his brother out essentially means cutting out his parents because the brother is the golden child who can do no wrong, and that's where the issue lies. The list of excuses for the brother is almost laughable. He didn't have many friends in school because he bullied everyone, and now he's sad. His high school girlfriend was mean to him, and now he lashes out. It's insane. I had an unhinged ex who ran over a limb with the intent to do a lot more about 8 years ago. He was charged with attempted murder and is still in prison. Yet I kept my mouth shut and took all the brother's insults about my looks, my personality, etc. Because after my near-death experience, I was a horribly angry person. If someone looked at me wrong, I'd lash out verbally or physically. It has taken me years not to be that person anymore, and I'm starting to see inklings of it returning when this skinny little boy speaks to me in that way. So yeah, being around the brother probably isn't good for my physical health and surely not for my mental health. User Significant Snow said, if he is that physically and emotionally violent towards his own mother and is ready to go that far with you, that is super scary. Plus, your boyfriend not being willing to do what's necessary to protect you is a red flag. What happens if you all stay together and have kids? Will he let his brother get that aggressive with them? It's always something to think about if a family is in your future plans. Also, if you do find a healthy way to move forward, or even if you don't, please consider recommending therapy. Your boyfriend may not realize how his brother's tantrums and aggressive outbursts, along with the favoritism his mother and family seem to have for his brother, could be affecting him. I'm really sorry you're having to go through this. I wish you the best and hope you take any steps necessary to protect your own well-being. This final post was made by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "My best friend is telling me that my BF cheated with her, but he says she's lying. How do I get the truth and then salvage whichever one of these relationships is worth saving? I've been best friends with Becca since 2010. We were college roommates, and after we graduated, we continued to live together until I moved in with my boyfriend, Nate, in 2019. One thing about Becca is that she has always had a drinking problem for as long as I've known her. She's done things while drunk that have sometimes caused problems in our friendship. She does try to stay sober, but every few years, something happens that makes her start drinking again, which is what occurred earlier this summer. Last Saturday, Becca called me because she was drunk somewhere and needed a ride home. I couldn't pick her up because I had the flu and was on cold medicine, so Nate went to get her instead. A couple of days later, I started noticing that Nate was acting strange with his phone. Normally, he leaves it out on the coffee table when we're watching TV or whatever, but he started putting it face down, so I couldn't see what notifications he was getting. My first thought was that he was trying to plan a surprise, and because of the timing, I thought that maybe Becca was helping him. Yesterday, when I saw Becca, I told her that Nate was being sneaky all of a sudden and asked her if he had said anything about possibly proposing soon. She asked me if I had looked through his phone, and I said no. Becca then started crying and told me that she and Nate hooked up in his car the night he came to pick her up. Her excuse was that she was really drunk and didn't fully know what she was doing. She said she'd been texting him since then, telling him that he needed to tell me what happened or else she would. I asked Becca to show me the texts, but they were all in the app Signal, which deletes messages after a day. All I could see was that she and Nate had a chat thread, but nothing they said. I told her to text Nate in front of me so I could see what he said. She did, but we got no read receipt and no response at all, so it didn't prove anything. I asked Becca if she was sure she wasn't so drunk that she might have imagined it or thought a dream was real, and she absolutely lost her temper on me. She said that she knows she's horrible when she drinks, but that she's not delusional and doesn't make things up. She told me I could believe her or not. It was my choice, but she was telling me the truth. I said I needed to go home and talk to Nate. When I got home, I confronted Nate with what Becca had said. He acted shocked and denied that anything like that had happened at all. He said he didn't know why she would think or say such things. He claimed he had just given Becca a ride home and that the only thing that happened was they talked about how long he and I had been together and how we should get married already. He admitted they were talking on Signal over the next couple of days, but insisted it was about exactly what I thought, that he was asking her about engagement rings and what kind of proposal I would want. Nate replied to Becca's earlier message asking her if she made up a story about them hooking up to avoid ruining the surprise of his proposal. She texted him back that there was no proposal and told him to stop playing dumb. Then Nate called her, pretending I wasn't in the room, and told her that she needed to stop whatever she was trying to do because we were on the verge of breaking up. He said he'd rather have the surprise ruined than deal with this situation. Becca just kept telling Nate to stop lying until he got angry and hung up on her. I really didn't know what to think, and I still don't. Right now, Nate is really upset and not talking to me much. He says it's bad enough that Becca acted insane and ruined his plan to propose, but it's even worse that I believed her lies even a little and would think that he would ever cheat on me. Becca texted me saying she was sorry, but otherwise I haven't talked to her either. I don't want to believe that Nate would cheat on me or that he'd take advantage of Becca if she was that drunk. But I feel like I can't be 100% sure. I've known Becca for 13 years and I can't believe she would lie to me about something this important. I know she has a drinking problem, so I can believe she'd sleep with my boyfriend if she were completely out of it. She's done some pretty awful things in the past when drunk. I don't want to wrongly accuse Nate of something he didn't do, but I also don't want to be naive. Update. So on Thursday night after I got everyone's advice, I told Nate that I had found a way to recover deleted messages from Signal. He immediately took out his phone, opened the app, and asked me to show him how to do it. I thought this must mean he was telling me the truth because he didn't panic or hesitate at all. This was good because when I tried to download Signal on my old phone, it turned out that it was too old to support the current version of the app, so it wouldn't work. Nate then asked me if we were going to have to go out and buy a new phone for me to believe that he was telling the truth. He said he was willing to do it if that's what it would take. I told Nate it wasn't that I didn't believe him, I just wanted some proof because I couldn't understand why Becca would lie about it. Nate said she would lie because she's a crazy drunk bitch and there's literally no way for a non-crazy person to understand why she would do anything like that. He added that once the messages proved he never wanted me talking to her again, everything would be clear. Then he said we needed to get up because if we were going to the Verizon store, we had to get there before it closed. By then, I completely believed Nate anyway, so I told him we didn't have to go anywhere or get a new phone, that I believed him and knew he didn't cheat on me and that he would never do that. Nate said he hoped I knew that and didn't understand why I hadn't taken his word for it in the first place. I started trying to explain why I didn't want to immediately dismiss what Becca had said happened, but Nate said he really couldn't listen to that right now. I said that was fair and agreed that I would cut Becca off, but first I wanted to try to get her to admit that nothing happened. Nate said fine, but I should call her on speakerphone because he thought he deserved to hear her admit she was lying. So I called Becca and told her the same thing I told Nate, that I figured out how to recover deleted messages on Signal. She asked me why I would need to do that, which confirmed for me that she was definitely making it up and not just confused. I said it was because I wanted proof of what she and Nate talked about. Becca then asked if I saw their messages, so I lied and said yes. After that, Becca went silent until finally I asked her if she was going to say anything. Then she asked if that meant we were engaged now. At that point, I really lost it on her and screamed, asking if she was serious and what the hell was wrong with her. How could that possibly be all she had to say? Becca started screaming back at me, telling me to calm down and saying how obviously I never believed her anyway, because it's not like we broke up over it. By this time, I was crying and couldn't really say anything else, so Nate told Becca to go herself and never contact either of us again before hanging up on her. A minute later, Becca sent me a completely unhinged text that I'm quoting here verbatim. Courtney, you are supposed to be my friend for life. You are supposed to be there for me. You are supposed to be my person. But then you meet Nate and now you only care about Nate. Everything is about Nate. Tell me why Nate comes to pick me up when I called you. I called you, not your precious f***ing Nate. I only want you to see how f***ed up this is, but do you? No, of course you don't. Of course you choose Nate over me like you always do and like you always will. You pretend to care about me, but I can see you don't care. It is pathetic, Courtney. You are a pathetic woman who would choose a man over a friend. But since you can't say it yourself, I will. Since you have to have your sweet, perfect little baby Nate do it for you, I will. Goodbye, Courtney. Is that what you want? Goodbye forever. I hope you fucking got what you fucking want. There were 3 dots after that, showing she was still typing more, but I blocked her before she could send it. I don't care about anything else she has to say. I'm sure it's all just going to be more bullshit about why this is my fault, or justifications for why what she did wasn't that bad and why I should forgive her. I know Nate is probably right. There's no non-crazy logic behind why Becca would stoop to doing something like this, but obviously I've still been thinking about it. My best guess is that whoever said Becca still blames me and Nate. Apparently mostly Nate for her being a drunk mess who can't get her life together is right. It seems like she somehow thought that if she said she hooked up with Nate, I'd break up with him but still want to be friends with her, and then everything would magically be fixed. As far as things with Nate go, I asked him if he thought he could ever forgive me for doubting him, and he said that since I came to my senses and cut Becca off, he guesses we can try to put it behind us. I don't think he's going to propose anytime soon. After this, I probably wouldn't if I were him. From what Nate said, he didn't actually do any planning yet other than asking Becca about rings and whether I'd think a public proposal was tacky or not. All he was doing so far was trying to get ideas without me knowing he was talking to her about it. Based on that, I think it's probably not going to happen for a while, if it still does at all. Also, thanks to everyone for the advice and support. I know I didn't respond to many comments, but I really did appreciate everyone who cared enough to want to help. Final update. I haven't logged into this account for about a year, but I received a few messages asking for an update, so here it is. I'll keep it as short as I can. Unfortunately, I have nothing good to report. It turned out that whatever was going on with Becca that caused her to make false accusations about Nate was the beginning of some kind of psychotic break. After I blocked her, she created a whole bunch of fake accounts and started sending me completely unhinged messages about how I ruined her life and threatening to get revenge on me and Nate. This went on for literally months, with her sending me dozens of messages a day. I found out from other friends that she was making multiple posts on Facebook every day that were semi-coherent rants about how much she hated me and how I was evil and had ruined her life intentionally. I tried to talk to the police twice to get a restraining order because I was afraid Becca was going to show up at our apartment and attack me or Nate. I even got a front door camera because I was so scared she would hurt us. The police said that because Becca wasn't threatening actual violence, she was just a nuisance and they couldn't do anything. They acted like I was an idiot because it isn't illegal to talk trash on Facebook, and they basically told me to just keep blocking her whenever she made a new account, assuring me that eventually she'd get bored and move on. Then finally, there was an incident where someone broke the windshield of Nate's car while he was parked at work. It could have just been a random act of vandalism since his wasn't the only car that got damaged, but at the time I was 100% sure it was Becca, so I went to the police again. Eventually, an officer spoke to Becca and she claimed she didn't touch Nate's car. Again, I had no proof that she did. However, after the police talked to her, Becca was put into a psych ward for a week because apparently her apartment was filthy and she was drunk all the time, making her a danger to herself. I have not heard anything from Becca since she left the psych ward. I don't know if she was diagnosed with something or if she's medicated now or what. I found out that she moved in with her dad, who thankfully lives in a different state. I check her social media every so often to make sure she's not posting about me again and that she's nowhere near me. I haven't mentioned Nate much in this update because we're no longer together. He broke up with me after the windshield incident because he couldn't handle being constantly harassed by Becca. To be honest, I don't think he ever forgave me for not taking his side immediately when everything started. It really hurt, but I can't blame him. I tried to talk to him about fixing things between us after Becca was gone, but he just wasn't interested. User Where's My Thermos said, I feel bad for OP. Sure, from the outside, it's easy to see why Becca would do this, but OP was muddled by years of bonds and experiences with both people, which makes sense as to why she wasn't able to see everything clearly. User Peach Pink Jedi said, people are being far too harsh on OP for not immediately believing her boyfriend over her friend. Becca is obviously a psychopath to us and it's clear as day, but before this situation spiraled out of control, she had just been OP's messy pity friend. People get cheated on by partners they love and trust and they don't doubt them all the time. To this user, Holiday Doc said, right, it's pretty astounding that many of the comments here suggest that because Becca has a history of starting arguments while drunk, she must obviously be lying about being assaulted by the boyfriend. Starting arguments or accusing someone of wearing your clothes because you genuinely believe that person borrowed them is not evidence that she is falsely accusing someone of sexual assault. User Historical Gap said, I was once in a similar situation as OP. I ended up losing both the friend and the boyfriend, but I was the one who dumped them both. She accused my boyfriend of sexually assaulting her and attempting to rape her. She claimed that she was holed up in a bathroom with a knife to protect herself because he was trying to force himself on her. Apparently, they were both drunk at the time of the alleged attack. There are a lot of details I'm leaving out, but suffice it to say that there were inconsistencies in both her story and his. The weird part is that she had no problem flirting with him in front of me after the alleged attack, like seriously flirting with him, and he reciprocated. It turned out that each of them was telling a grain of truth, but it was colored by their intoxication at the time. So when I put two and two together, I realized that they had probably done something together, she regretted it, and then hid out in the bathroom while he tried to talk to her. Regardless of what actually happened, I dumped them both because who needs that drama? Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersubs. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.